This is Mr. Royce of Royce Media coming at you guys with another video. In this video, I want to kind of do something different, and I want to talk about some helpful, practical pointers and what young men should do, and really young women should do before taking on someone as a marriage partner. You know, a lot of people talk about dating, and some people talk about courtship, and that's all fine and well. And a lot of them talk a lot about the romantic part, finding somebody to love them, and all of this other stuff, and building a community, all that hoopla. And then you on each side you have um, people that want what they want. Like, they want someone that can take care of kids. They want someone that has good genes. They want someone who can afford to be married. They want someone to, you know, uh, build the community, so forth, so on. Okay, all right, that's fine and all. I'm going to approach it slightly different, and this is what I'm going to talk about should actually happen during the courting phase of getting into a relationship. And these are some things that in my lifetime I see as being crucial to picking a person for marriage. There are a few things that I think that every couple that is engaged, or really even before they get engaged, these are things that they should do before deciding that that person that they're with is the right one. Number one, you need to be able to get along with that person's family. You need to figure out if you can get along with that person's family, because when you get married to them, you marry their family. So you want to marry into a family that's you're able to sit at functions with and be able to tolerate, and actually be content, and that they will be content with you. You don't want to marry somebody to where you're totally alienated from their family, because one of the crucial parts of raising children is being able to have that extended family help out at certain parts, and even be able to have people that you can trust having your kids around, not just to leave them, but just even to be around at family events. So number one, um, you want to be able to get along with that family. Number two, do a background check on your potential partner. Um, you don't want to marry somebody that has a background that may be problematic, like the obvious stuff, like criminal convictions, things like that. You also want to find out, how many times they've been involved with domestic disputes, different things like that. That's important, because you want to be able to, ideally, you want to be with somebody that's not quick to cause disagreements to come to the point to where the police have to show up, or that's quick to call the police over disagreements, things like that. You want to understand, you want to know when and if they've been to court and for what. You do, obviously, you want to know about criminal convictions, but you also want to know if they've had to file things like bankruptcy, different things like that. And I believe that is a good, search, having those public records searched is a good way to gauge the kind of person you're with, and their character, their public character. So having a background investigation done is important. Um, Number three, I would say, go visit a divorce attorney. Pay that little $400 to talk to a divorce attorney, so you can understand what happens if the marriage dissolves. You can understand better what the process is, and how you would be impacted should your union gets to a point to where it is irreconcilable. that money is well spent because you'll understand the process, and not only that, you'll understand better some of the things that that divorce lawyer is seeing that makes a marriage irreconcilable. Number four, which leads me into visiting a marriage counselor before you get married. A lot of people do it through the church, and I have my I have my concerns about that. But I would say visit a marriage therapist or marriage counselor, something like that, in addition to going through your religious networks, so you can kind of talk about certain things and work them out before you get to a marriage. So you can find out you and your prospective partner can discuss boundaries and parameters and work out different problems beforehand so that you can go into the marriage better, having a better understanding of the expectations of your partners and how you want to conduct your marriage. So, because you don't want to get with somebody and go, oh man, I've married a problem, you know, because this happens a lot. There's a reason that the divorce rate is well over 50% in the US. So, a lot of this is because people haven't worked out certain things before they try to get married. Um, that leads me into my next point. Um, Credit checks. You know, when you marry someone, you marry their debt, and that debt would include, bankruptcies, student loans, uh, collection debt, all kinds of other stuff that you might not want. And if you don't want it, you have every right beforehand to say, hey, you either fix this or we can't do this. So pull a credit check. You know. Next, I would say take that person to go visit a physician. To go visit a physician, um, and sign a release so that you can see each other's medical records, because medicine is expensive. Medical problems are expensive, and you don't want to be with somebody. If you want kids, you want to be with somebody that's healthy enough to have kids, that's healthy enough to produce kids with you, and you want to have a understanding of any genetic problems that they may have, any um, sexual infection problems that they may have had, and even that history, if you can get that history. This stuff is important because it'll tell you a whole lot more than they will, because to most people, they're pretty perfect. But, it's nothing like, you know, taking them to the doctor to make sure they don't have anything like certain uncurable sexually transmitted infections, or they don't have any fertility problems, anything like that. You want to be practical in that area of health, and you don't want to marry somebody, if you're just getting on your feet, just getting out of college, or just starting a career or something. You don't want to marry into somebody. You don't want to marry into a bunch of medical debt. That's just being honest. You know, I would say lastly, visit an accountant where you and this person take your expenses for a year, 2 years, and they bring theirs, and you guys, go to an accountant so you can have a better idea of how each of you spend money. Because infidelity is not the number one cause of the breakup of marriages in the United States. It's actually money, and money and the spending of money. You don't want to be with somebody who doesn't have the same financial values as you do, and you don't want to marry into a a money hole, or you don't want to marry somebody that you don't necessarily want to be with somebody that may be very stingy with their money either. If you're not, and even that accountant would actually help you guys work out a budget beforehand, a prospective budget, which will alleviate a lot of problems. So, you know, um, I think by doing all these things, you'll approach marriage as more of a business, which is really what it is. Marriage is the business of raising kids, and by doing these things, I think you will better go into that business agreement well. Oh, going back to the divorce attorney, also, these attorneys will help you create a prenup, and prenups aren't just for money. Prenups can also help you draw up certain things that you would like to see in the marriage. You can put them down on paper, so this person can actually have a hard copy of what your expectations are. If you want to be able to go out a few times a month, you can put that in the prenup. If you want to have sex a certain amount of times a week, put that in the prenup. If you want a certain amount of home cooked meals, you can put all of that stuff in the prenup. You can put anything in that prenup that you want, and you can have this uh, as a guideline of how you want certain things to operate, and it will be up to that person to uh, agree and sign, or not agree and sign, and not agree and not sign. And this way, you better have an idea. You have a better idea of who you're dealing with and how you all are going to get along. And just the very fact of you wanting to do these things, um, if that person is with you, they would likely agree to do these things as well. And if they don't, you can pretty much see what your immediate future is going to be. And you may be able to avoid a problem for a lot less than what these weddings are costing these days. The average American wedding, somebody had somewhere had some crazy number, 25,000, just for the wedding, just for one day, a 1 day event, when you could spend a lot less money um, and time on figuring out if this person on paper is the right person for you to get married to, for you to go into that business of marriage. You spend a lot less money. I would rather spend, between $2,500, $5,000 on figuring out if a person is right to marry, rather than spend 25,000 on a 1 day event to find out a year or two down the line this person is going to cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars to get away from, because your peace of mind will become expensive after you get married. So, by doing these things, you can avoid a lot of heartache, and you can actually come out cheaper. Um, when I was young, and when I was dating, I wish somebody had told me these things so that I could have approached getting married in a pragmatic way, and really understand. I'm really understood that marriage was a business. Um, anyway, my wife is cool. I'm not saying that I regret marrying her and everything, even though sometimes she get on my nerves. But I think had I had this information beforehand, I would have moved a lot smarter and understood some things more. Um, that being said, it's not too late for you if you haven't already been married. And for people that have been married and didn't do these things, and looking back at it, I'm pretty sure many of them will agree that these are some actually very practical things to do beforehand, before stepping into a marriage or stepping into another one. Anyway, this is Mr. Royce. Tell me what you think of this video. Like, share, and subscribe. This is Mr. Royce of Royce Media, and I'm out.